Hey brother, how you doing, man?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a minute since we got a chat.
Yeah, last time I saw you, we were fighting an evil space ninja, right?
Yeah. Yeah, before we get into the little side story, I had so many people hit me up that not when I shared it, but just like months after, a year after that were just like, "Bro, I think I just saw you in a Power Rangers fan film." But I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And they're like, "Dude, I've been keeping up on this slowly, but I fell behind, whatever the story is, but so many people mentioned that I knew that watched it not even knowing I was in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it was super cool. Oh, hey, brother, well, you're my first, so this may be a little rough, but I'll let you introduce yourself in a minute. But the reason I wanted to bring you on here is because I'm sure you get this a lot. I get this a lot. Is kind of like how do you do what you're doing? And I was like, for my first guest, I have to bring in. I think you're like the king of fan films, the king of just fandom, the king of just doing it, man. You're doing
Thank,
it.
thank you very much. Appreciate that.
So if you want to introduce yourself, and then after you introduce yourself, I just want to ask like, what's your origin story, man? Give it to me. Like, how did this start for you?
Sure. My name is Colin K. Bass. I do acting, writing, and producing for a media company called NerdBot, and then a subsidiary called Anime Fire. We do anything from fan films to original content to convention coverage to celebrity interviews, just kind of anything that comes our way to, keep creating content that'll help the main company, which is we produce anime conventions and do after parties and things like that. So it's all, I always explain, it's really cyclical where we get good views or good reception on what we love doing, which is filmmaking, and then we showcase it at our conventions, and it all kind of helps each other out to get eyes and views and even people. So it's a big combination, but I've done anywhere from Power Rangers to DC to Marvel to Star Wars, and right now our focus is anime because we do three different anime conventions a year, and so it all kind of it's like makes it a whole media company that does in-person events and also the actual digital side of it. So it's kind of a big puzzle piece, but I love it to death, and it's my full-time job, which I'm super grateful for. And that's like where I am right now. But the my origin story is kind of a funny one. I never was going to go down this path. I thought that my future when I was in college was just supposed to the kind of the cliche thing. I was a football guy, track star, blah 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 blah, like just the kind of homecoming douchebag that you see in movies. And but secretly I was a big nerd. I loved superheroes, anime, everything, and I kind of kept it secret because I cared way too much about what people thought. And so when I graduated, I went to college. I always loved writing. I always loved literature. So I thought I was going to be an English teacher and a football coach. And midway through my like second year of community college, I got hired as a writer for a comic book website. And this was when things were like YouTube was starting to pick up, and you could go buy a flip cam. I don't know, I'm probably aging myself, but remember the flip cam before phones could record in 4K or whatever. A flip cam would film in like 720. And so I
Mhm.
bought one on a whim when I was very, very broke, and I was like, I want to start making videos. I didn't know it at the time, but I loved acting, I loved writing, I loved creating, I loved, being a part of it. And it went from like an original series that no one watched, but we still loved doing it, learned a lot, did a lot of cool stuff, and I got to live out my superhero dreams. Then we dove into fan films, and that kind of took off in its own because we were able to start working with costume companies and conventions. And then one day we were doing a Green Arrow screening for this Green Arrow short that we did where I played Green Arrow. And my current boss right now was in the audience, and he saw what we were working with, what me and my partner at the time were working with. And he came up to us and he was like, "Hey, I really want to work with you guys." And then the rest is history. That led to Reverse Flash Origins, then all the Power Rangers, and then a fight series called Character Select. And then we started Anime Fire, I think about 3.5 years ago. And then I did DigiDestin, which is a live action Digimon. And then I was like, man, I'm feeling myself getting older. I gotta like I gotta do the action stuff while I still can. And I have some injuries from stunts and everything. And I was like, I gotta do Dragon Ball before I get too old. And so I wrote Dragon Ball Son of Trunks, got that green lit, and then that's what my current project is, while I'm still having some other stuff, working on the side with Power Rangers and even a new Naruto series. And I'm always trying to do something while I can. So that is my origin story to where I am now. But the moral of the story is do what you love, and you might get the right eyes on it.
The reason I found out about you was Reverse Flash. And were you so in about 2013, 14-ish, I made a Batman fan series and you like do you remember the Joker blogs? Did you watch that?
I didn't.
No? Okay. So that was a really big Joker one. And then there was Bat in the Sun, a whole we could
Yes.
name a whole bunch. But were you keeping an eye out for other fan films as well? Because when I was doing it, I was always kind of seeing what the competition was, and that's how I kind of found you. And that Reverse Flash thing's so good. But were you watching other ones?
Yeah, I was always really inspired. I'll be very transparent, honest. I do get a little jealous when I see like the really high production ones. I'm like, why can't I do that? So I do try to stay in my own lane of what I can do. But at that point, it was just kind of like what we weren't. I'm sure you can relate where weren't many people doing what we were doing, especially for free.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were all just kind of we had our day job, and then on the weekends we'd play superhero, and then get some views, and then get some cool opportunities. And I was like, that kept me happy, that kept me satisfied. And I thought that like my future was going to be playing Dick Grayson because I played him for so long, and it was positively received. And then we did a Nightwing fan series that went nowhere. And then our producer at the time was like, "What do you want to do?" And I am a big Smallville fan. I love Episode 3 of Star Wars. I love those stories where you see why the villain became the villain. And so I pitched this idea. I'm like, what if Reverse Flash wasn't always evil? And I've never seen anything do that before. And then the Flash show was blowing up. It was doing super well. And we had barely dashes of Reverse Flash. So I was like, why don't we capitalize on this? And so we did a teaser and it did really well. But the main thing is like, I want to do stuff that no one's ever done before because there's so many. That's what the beauty of fan films is because we don't have to follow the rules of licensing and DC and stuff. So I started grabbing characters from the comic books and cartoons and stuff and like bridging them all together. So to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. I was watching what people are doing, but also I was like, man, I've never seen anyone do something like this before. And I kind of followed what the CW show was doing wrong and then kind of like, dude, I can kind of go this way and, to do my best to make this a really special thing. And yeah, that show really changed my life. And, it did get the attention of, the people that didn't really take me seriously for so long.
Yeah. And I'm going off from the questions I have from you, but how do you feel today? Because when I did the Batman series, when you did Reverse Flash, you're right. Basically, it was either Bat in the Sun or kind of like us. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because Bat in the Sun, they have some money. But
Yeah.
with us, it's like nobody was doing it. So it's like, hey, here's these other stories, and everybody was like hungry for it. But today, there's a lot more people doing fan films and on a higher level. So, and you still get great views. So, like, I don't want to blow up your head, but you can if you want. Is it you think it's just the writing? How are you staying in the market so good?
Well, I'll say this. I think TikTok really ruined people's perception of content. And, like an anime slap with your friend will get a million views. Meanwhile, I make a full 18-minute episode and we're fighting for 200K, right?
Yeah.
But I do think I've learned a lot of tips and tricks on how to do it. And marketing is what pays my bills. So I do have a really good mind for marketing, and so does my boss. And so I think that it's a combination of doing untold stories, which is what makes fan films so special. So doing something that people have never seen before, and then also just the marketing behind it, it really makes a difference because like I won't speak ill of anyone, but if there's other shows that I've been a part of where the marketing wasn't there and the quality was higher, but the views were lower. So it's really marketing 101 states that you just have to keep people thinking about you.
Mhm.
So it's a consistent style of marketing that I think that I've got a good hold on, but also it is the short attention span that we deal with as creators where everyone just kind of would rather watch like Naruto dancing rather than a full fight scene. It's just the reality of it all. So I think it's a combination of that and also just I think the the phrase my boss taught me is, the name of whatever you're doing. Can you see it on a t-shirt? That's like what I try to strive for when I'm pitching a new idea. I'm like, that sounds cool. Like, Son of Trunks is like my current pride and joy, and all I had was the name. I was like, man, that sounds cool. What could it be about? And then I went from there, and then the logo was made first, and we just ran with it, and we even just like posted the logo, and people were like, what? And it was kind of just that short attention span marketing style that we need to adapt to in 2025, you know?
Yeah. Um, what so going back to the beginning of this origin story, when you were first starting and you were doing those, I think what were the first ones? Reverse Flash is one of the first ones, right?
Reverse Flash was the only one people really cared about. We did a Young Justice one, and then we did like an original series, and then we did like some random shorts and stuff, but I
Did
don't
you
even know
have
if they're on the internet anymore.
did you have your team? So when I went and filmed with you, you had a pretty good size little team. Great cameras. We had like Black Magic, like the 6K pros and stuff. So going back to the beginning, how big was your team and what kind of equipment were you guys using? I know you just mentioned that we're both old and it was like 720 cameras and stuff. Is that like kind of the start and just like you and one other person?
It was, yeah. We did bare minimum, and it was like, man, maybe we buy them some beer if we had some extra hands on set, but it was mostly just me and Sean. And, we don't work together anymore in that capacity just because we, decided to go our separate ways. But
Yeah.
he's still, making content. I'm helping produce, but we're not like partners like we used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really just me and him trying to juggle like six jobs each or like get someone there to do this. And but I mean, I still remember the flip cam for like years, and then he got like a nice DSLR, and we were just like, this is a game changer. And then when we started working with Elvin, he had actual like camera equipment, and then he had people, and like that day that you came and we filmed Power Rangers, that was like a day where we were trying to look way more professional than we actually were because it was the patron day. We wanted people to think that we were like a legit company. But no, sometimes it's just like there are scenes that I think are some of the best scenes, and it was just me and one other dude, and then I would ADR over it, and it was some of the cleanest scenes of the whole episode. And there's even days where I'm like, okay, trailer's coming out this week. Man, it'd be really great if we had one more shot of me in my suit landing or something. And then it would just be me, another ragtag team, me and Shelton Perry, who's my partner on Son of Trunks. We'll go out there and film it. Or even like this Naruto thing we're working on. It's called The Last Uchiha. And I am like setting up a VFX test, and it'll probably just be me, the actor, the cameraman, in an alley. So things haven't changed too much, but on the big important days, it's great to have a bigger team. But we started with bare minimum. Like I'm talking, Sean would put the camera on sticks, click record, then run into scene with me. That's how
Yeah.
we were.
I love it, man, because once again, that's another question I get all the time. Like, well, I don't have as many people as you, or I don't have the equipment you do. And I'm like, that's just one that's sometimes when it comes to people, because I
Mhm.
do the same thing, man. It may be me and the cameraman, and then equipment wise, I barely got the Black Magic around the same time you guys did, um, or the time I shot with you at least. And before that, yeah, it was like seven. Like you remember those old like point and shoot like photography cameras, but they would also have the ability to film. And I think that was 720 as well. When I
Yeah.
got that, I was like over the moon. Like, here we go. I'm gonna start.
Yeah.
And now people's phones shoot 4K. I'm like,
It's
there's no
crazy.
excuse anymore.
Yeah. I did a big upgrade. I mean, I'm sure I'm years behind now, but I did like a three three phone jump because of these new like filming capabilities. I was like, I'm gonna make so much content, blah blah blah. I didn't, I did some BTS and stuff, which is super helpful, but it's crazy. I mean, man, isn't 28 years later filmed on an iPhone with just like a super expensive lens?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. And that's my advice too for people who want to do, just take your phone and go film something. You'll learn so much just by trying. And it's really sweet at these conventions. We do these screenings for our episodes, and a lot of these kids, I'll say kids, but they're just younger than me. They want to do what we do, and my advice is, dude, use your phone, go out there. You don't have to release it. It's just such a learning experience, and you have something that we never had. These
Hmm.
little things that you keep in your pocket every day. can make a full-fledged movie. Like that's amazing, and it's only going to get more and more convenient. So start now. But yeah, it's just if I you know woulda shoulda coulda if I had this back when I first started, it'd be a whole different ball game by my I'm 34 now. If imagine starting your filming career with a 4K little camera that you would have in your pocket all the time. What? That's cool.
Yeah, that and our computers. I remember during the Batman series, we had that 720 bad camera, and we would go to export a video, and no joke, it'd be like render time 60 hours. And then you would just have to leave it and be like, I hope it's good. And you come back like 2 days later and it's like error. And you're like, no.
Oh, we've been through some shit, huh?
Yeah. And I'm like, today, like I hear my son making his skate videos and he's always like frustrated. And I'm like, you don't even know, man. You don't
No
even know.
idea, kid.
How about the scripts, man? So a lot of this has to go to like you're writing everything, yeah?
Not really anymore. Like there's things that I'm a part of just producing. Like, we did a Fallout short. That was all Sean. I just produced it, which is, just scheduling and budgeting and blah blah blah. But I was there on set. It was like 108 degrees or something, maybe more, and everyone's in like full like apocalypse gear, and I'm there with like my Jurassic Park hat on. And I'm like, man, I'm so glad I'm not in this. This is so hot. But we did film some Son of Trunks by this like crashed helicopter. So I had my filming in the heat too. And then there are like the Four Empires is one of our original projects that I helped create, but it was put in someone else's responsibility. And they do shorts there and they write all of them. I just help produce. But for like the main ones on the channel, yeah, I do all the writing for Son of Trunks and that's like our main current one. And then Shattered Past, I'm kind of floating around because it really messed everything up when Jason David Frank passed away. So I'm trying to handle that with care because he is like the main villain of our show. So I'm writing and tweaking and changing, but we have like most of it filmed. But to answer your question, on my projects, I do all the writing for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Rest in peace to. I remember you told me some of the plans you had, and I was excited. We definitely were talking about him and praising him and everything when we did that shoot. So very
Yeah.
sad. But to go back to the writing, how do you start? How do you make your compelling stories, man? Like, what's
Oh man, it's kind
like,
of a funny setup. So I take this computer that I'm on right now. I get like a six pack of White Claws. I put whatever I'm writing about on the screen, usually a recap video or a movie or something, something to like, so I learn everything, right? And then it gives me ideas to what I need to write and what I need to know. And like, I don't want to mess up the lore or these nerds will come kill me, but I'm one of those nerds, so I don't want to mess up either. And I just watch what I'm basing it on. I catch a little buzz, kind of like Hemingway. No, I'm just kidding. And then I start writing, and then I write it the way that in a dream world that I could do it. Then I go through it again and make it more realistic. Then I go through it again and like really nitpick who's going to be there. Is this possible to have this many people on set at once? Like really
yep.
I play my own devil's advocate. And then after like, man, maybe three or four write throughs in the same sitting, it takes like hours. Then I come back the next day and go through it again. And then usually, man, maybe within like 3 days, I turn it into my boss. And we go through it that, and he asks the really hard questions, the really logistical questions. And if there's changes, I usually get an approved with changes, which just means you go back and add things or make that, then you turn it in again. And then I'm a dreamer, man. I'm always thinking like, man, that'd be a really cool thing to add, or I could do this, or I get super lucky and get the original voice actor or original ranger to come back. Then I add a scene, so it's always changing. And bless my whoever my director is, bless their heart because I throw crazy curveballs and then they're like, "What? Why?" And I'm like, "Because I got the original voice actor of Cell to voice this. We got to do it." Or, "Oh, I got this Ranger. He's down. The Magnet Defender's down to be in. We got to add a scene." And so I think that my like base one that I turn in is never the same thing that you see when it comes out. Like Son of Trunks alone, that script, man, I added so many things just because cool opportunities kept popping up, or like I would like I got the Saiyan armor, or we got the narrator involved, or I got a new actor, ooh, post credit scene, we got to do this. Like it's always changing, but the my main my main kind of, I guess, routine or ritual, if you will, is drinking some White Claw, watching the content, and then me writing and then checking it over and over like 3 or 4 times in one sitting.
Here's a good question. I got to work with Jason David Frank and Rachel for a Green Ranger thing, and they asked me, but mostly I always get this question, and I think it would be better for you because you've worked with a lot more people than me. Everyone asks me like, how do you get like in touch with these people? And usually, besides like I said, the Rachel and Jason story, I just ask.
Mm.
What's your like how do you get a lot of in that Power Ranger series, man? How many like
Yeah, I think I'm at like 15 returning
yeah.
years, maybe more now. Well, Rangers was different because I was very lucky to get William Shufelt as one of my best friends, and he was kind of a word of mouth guy. And then DJ Rivers also made some really great connections too. But we had the work to show. It wasn't like
Hmm.
you can imagine these Rangers like so many people come up to them. I have this idea for this. I have this idea for this. So many people are just talk in our industry. But if you have something concrete and you get it done, and then you're like, this is what I would like you to be a part of, then that is ideally what you would do. And it was kind of just like, man, I see these Rangers in Bloodline of the Grid or Rise of the Ninja or Shattered Pass, and all of a sudden their popularity spikes up again, and they're doing signings, and it's kind of like a no-brainer for their, career.
Hmm.
It gets eyes on you again, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. I'm gonna go rewatch that. And then in their head, it's like this will help me doing signings and appearances because it'll remind people of my character. That's what I think, anyways. We also have a lot of fun too. Like I hang out with the Bloodline boys all the time, or I used to when we filmed, and we all became like good friends. And even on set, it's fun to like revisit characters and stuff. And then for Digimon, that was crazy. It was I was doing a Digimon panel and I was like, I have something special to show you guys. And it was just the sequence of me and Agumon digivolving. And it was just kind of like, oh, we love Digimon. We made this. It was during COVID where you could make anything you want.
Yeah, yeah.
And on the mic, I don't know, I felt confident or something because everyone really liked it. And then I was like, yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Maybe I'll see all of you in the digital world. And they're like, yeah, let us know. And then I go to my guy that was doing the editing and like the VFX of the Digimon, the CGI Digimon, and I was like, dude, I can get all these guys in our show. Let's make the episode longer. He's like, okay, let's do it. So I got all of them to join in that one moment. Like I circled back and like you said, I just asked, but I also kind of had proof that I got it done. Like I can do this. It's not just talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Son of Trunks was the same thing. I was at a con and I went up to these different voice actors and I had like the trailer, I think, and then episode one came out and it kind of allowed me to get more and more people involved because they're like, yeah, this doesn't look too bad. Let's do it. It's fun,
Hmm.
I'm not making money off of it. It's just kind of like a love letter to the fandom, like I like to say. And so, yeah, it was a lot of asking, but it's also like, dude, if you have proof that you're going to get this done and it's something that they might want to be a part of, they'll probably do it because you're not capitalizing on them and you're not like selling t-shirts with their face on it. They're just you're making a movie for fun. So I think it is about asking, but also having proof that you're a doer, not a talker.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at your IMDb, man.
Oh
Big
boy.
Big Mama's House 2 and Video Game High School.
Okay, one of those is real, one of those isn't. Guess which one?
Um, both would be really cool, but personally, I think Video Game High School would be really freaking cool.
That's real. I did that.
Okay.
My first Netflix role. I went up there, filmed for 2 days. I was probably in it for like 30 seconds, but it was super fun. Love that team. And it was just so much fun. And I was like, this is what I want to do. It was like peak Crimson Blur, which was our first series. And yeah, man, I had a blast. They like I was in just like a line to be like an extra, and then they grabbed me and they're like, "Hey, we want you to be like the leader of the team, and you're gonna be in the opening episode and blah blah blah." And then they're like, "Can you stick around and do another role?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I stayed up there with I think their DP or something, and then they put glasses on me and I played someone else in a different role the next day. And I loved video game high school. So it was really cool to meet everyone and hang out. And I was also like, I was kind of just there just to be a part of it, maybe learn something. But they literally like plucked me out of the line and put me in the spotlight. It was awesome. I had a big red camera right on my face and I was like, this is cool. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Anybody, I think, if you were in that spot, would be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Did you get to meet Freddie and all them?
Yeah, I met everyone and I had like a one-on-one talk with, I'm gonna forget names, I'm really sorry, but the main dude,
Oh,
Ju
the actor, the main
the
actor.
actor, the I forgot his name. He goes by his like screen name in the show the whole time. Forgot. Do you know
Is
who I'm
it
talking about?
is it Josh or not Josh?
I don't remember. It's the main dude that like had the super beat up setup and then he joined video game high school and he got better and he became like the hero. He got the girl. But I was talking to him and he taught me what micro mannerisms were. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, you do that. And he's like, yeah, it's a big part of acting. And then so I started really trying to like work on my micro mannerisms while I'm acting. Because even little things like looking down and like, you know, a little twitch right here, like things like that make it that much more of like a scene. And, you know, not everyone noticed him. I didn't even know what it was until he told me about it.
Yeah. I think it was Josh. It was because Josh and Jimmy, Freddie's brother, they were like the two main leads that
Yeah,
were guys, right?
they were cool. They were really cool. And my character killed Josh's character in the game, and then it cuts to me, and I go, "Wow!" After I kill him, it's really cool.
I'm gonna
Because
have to go back now.
I came back to San Diego, and they're like, "How'd it go?" I was like, "Good. I got to kill the main character in my first scene. It was great."
Yeah, that's awesome. Dude, I have to talk about, I've talked to you about this several times. I've even been like, dude, if you do another one, I need to jump on as producer, is Dread. Dread and Green Arrow. I would like to talk about those short films. Tell me like,
Dude.
so obviously you're a big fan of Dread, and I felt like you guys, I've seen lots of short films. There's one like comic book-ish. It really fits it. It's a really good Dread one. I think it's older now, short film. But besides that, I think you guys hit the vibe of like the newer movie that came out in
Yeah.
2012. How was that, man?
Dude, dream come true, dude. That was again, those were the times where we could just film whenever because the world was kind of like barely opening up. But we started this character select thing and we wanted to start with Red Ranger versus Leonardo, but we just weren't there yet. I don't remember exactly what happened. And then they're like, okay, think of someone else. So we did Green Arrow versus Daredevil. And I had a blast. I got the zip line into the scene, which
Yeah.
is a dream come true. And then the next one was Red Ranger versus Leonardo, and I just wrote it and just helped on set. And then the third one, they wanted to do The Mandalorian versus someone. And I was like, please, had a really bad back injury on the set of Green Arrow versus Daredevil, so they were like really skeptical to put me into anything. I was like, I was messed up. During rehearsal, I got flipped onto a truck and it just like boom right in my spine and messed me up. And I was like out for a while. But then I got better and I was like, please let me be in this one. I don't care who I am. Like I gotta do this while I can, right? And then I forgot who thought of it, but it basically became we knew with a Mandalorian, and then it was gonna be someone that like, you know, used guns that made sense. And then we we're just kind of sitting there, and then I get a text, I think from my boss. I might be remembering the story wrong. And then it's like, I got it, Judge Dredd. And I was like, how are we gonna do that costume? He's like, I got a guy, blah, blah, blah. And so I go over to the guy's house and I try this costume on, and I felt invincible. I'm all like tightened up, it's all armored, it's all leather, it's like super, super badass. And then I was like so excited. They 3D printed me my own gun, and like, oh man, it was so much fun. So I did that, and then we went and filmed at this really weird set. It was a big storage unit, and they have like different sets and stuff there. And I get there, and we're like going through all the fight choreo, which we'd been doing, but with the helmet on, you can't see anything. And guess what? The Mandalorian can't see anything either, too. So we're fighting each other. We can barely see. I don't know what's going on. It took so long to get these fights done because I was like either fully hitting him or like way back here. And then the time came for my dream, which was a wire stunt. And I told my boss, I was like, it's my dream to do a wire stunt. Please let me do a wire stunt. So I wrote in the scene where I'm running from a bomb and then the bomb hits me and I go, woo, and I fly. And so we're there and there's this whole team with a rig and they did a big, like bouncing scene with Mandalorian flying, and I'm there, and I'm pretty beat up. It was like a 12-hour shoot day, but this is like the final shot. And I guess it costs money per jump or something. I didn't really understand it. And the guy's like, "Yeah, we actually don't need to wire him up. He can just jump on the trampoline and you know bounce." And I look at my boss and my eyes start watering because I was like, I don't want to just do a
Oh.
bounce. I'm Judge Dredd. I want to do a wire. I want to like,
Wire me.
yeah. And then Elvin, bless his heart, looks at me and he's like, can you please wire him up and make it, a little bit more? Otherwise, I think he's gonna kill himself. So they rig me up and I get this big like, oh man, it was like a legit movie. They wire me up. I'm you know 10 plus hours into filming, but I'm having the time of my life. I can't see anything. And so they give me one practice jump, boing, and I don't do very well. And then they're like, okay, we got to do it. So I do my first one, boing, and then I did okay. Then my second one, I overdo it and I go boing, and I like rip and they pull and I spin and it's all messed up and I land and I break my eagle on my shoulder. And I was like, oh no. So okay, this is the last one. And then I just kind of met the middle. I go boing and they spin me and I slam against the truck and I fall down. And there's this like picture sequence of me running and jumping, bouncing, hitting, and then my face is like this and I land, and then I'm just smiling after because I was so happy to be doing it. And then we wrapped, and then Elvin was like, we need one more scene of you, like, the setup. So I wrote this scene where I just kind of rescue a girl, kind of like Judge Dredd did in the movie. Anyway, I was so happy to be able to be him one more time because it was so much fun. And I got to say the line like, I am the law, and, you've been judged. Boom. And I go through, and then I got like a little emotional because I was like, man, I'm probably never going to be able to be this character again because I have to return the suit and everything. And so we got through, and then it came out, and then unfortunately, it didn't do very well. So I didn't even get a chance to do another Dread short at all. But I will say, as of right now, it's one of my top two filming experiences of my entire life. My other one is my green screen flight scene with Son of Trunks, but the playing Dread in that sequence in the wiring and like how it all went down and how professional it all felt and how cool it was being a character that I've never played before. Man, dream come true. I'd hop into a Dread role in a heartbeat.
I've told you, man, if you ever start getting in talks, bring me on to be a producer and I'll try to help in any way I can. But so that the rigging, the green arrow with the zip line, and then I was gonna bring the Dragon Ball Z. I saw your post of you doing the green screen like flight thing, and you're like, a dream come true. How was that, man? That looked fun, just looking at
Yeah,
the picture.
it was so cool. I've always had that dream since Smallville season 4, ep 1. I have it memorized. Crusade. It's when Clark Kent wasn't really Clark Kent. Kal-El had took over, and he did his first flight, which the rule was no flights, no tights for the whole 10 season show. And so the way that it got around it was that's not Clark flying. That's Kal-El. That's his Kryptonian side, and he's soaring through the sky and he's flying. And I was like, I gotta do that someday. I just never really play a character that could fly until Vihan, which is the son of Trunks. And so we're like piecing together ep 1, and then Elvin's like, what's it going to take to make this thing successful? And I was like, we need to start with something crazy, like that they know we're not messing around. We need a green screen flight sequence. He's like, okay, what does that take? And so I like go through logistics and stuff. And he was like, okay, let's do it. So we book a full like green screen room, and it was like a lot of like practicing, and I had to really like build my core to like fly like this. And it was like maybe a 3 hour shoot of me just constantly flying like this. And so, man, it was so much fun. It was such a dream come true, and I practiced really hard. And then when I like got the footage back, I was like, I'm flying just like Clark. It was so cool to come full circle because the whole reason I like even wanted to act and stuff because I love Smallville so much. And then that was just such a fun day, and we had like a big inflatable. It's like this big, a big inflatable blower blowing at me. And we did like different sequences and like flying around. We have stuff for future episodes. It was so much fun. And it was just like another thing off the bucket list of as an actor. So I loved it and I loved how it looks. And I loved like that we still have stuff that we can use for later too.
Yeah. So a lot of this of what we've been talking about is like kind of like just do it, and then all these opportunities can arise, or it could just be bucket list checking off, but I'm sure you hit this. I hit this all the time. There's a lot of times that you kind of don't have the motivation.
Mhm.
So how do you get the motivation and what inspires you to keep on? You're doing a lot, man, all the time, constantly, constantly you're doing something. What inspires you? How do you get that motivation?
Dude, I'll be real. It's always just kind of like if I can keep doing this and it is like, goes hand in hand with what pays the bills, then I'm happy. Like that was always it. And I was always like, man, that was kind of a shitty day at work. At least I get to film tomorrow. And it was always kind of like the carrot, to dangle in front of me. But without getting too heavy, I went through a really serious breakup in November, and I lost all motivation. I was like, I don't want to film, I don't want to write, I don't want to act. I'll go to work, kind of do my job, and even like in videos, I'm like, "Hey, what's up, guys? Calling from Anime Pasadena," and I'm like, I lost my spark. It's something broke in my brain. I even like couldn't play video games. I couldn't hang out with people. I just kind of wanted to like sit alone and be alone and drink and watch movies. It was really weird. And I was like, this isn't me. And I'm like, man, how do I get this spark back? And I kept like trying to write. I kept trying to sit down and write. I kept trying to like get excited and like go like, okay, I'm back. It was during the holidays too, so it's not like I could film anyways because everyone's really busy during the holidays. But I totally lost my spark. And then there was this day where I was kind of just like feeling a little bit better about it all. And then I was like, what's the thing in my life that makes me feel better? What's the thing in my life that makes me happy? And it is filmmaking. It's creating. But I was like against this wall. And so I sat down and I just watched the things that I love. I watched the different fandoms I love. I even watched some of my old stuff. And then I was just like, I can't waste time like this. Like the thing that inspires me is that I get to do this, that I get to do this and like kind of, I'm not a fully professional actor, writer, producer, but it is a part of my day job and it is a thing that makes me happy and I think it makes a lot of other people happy, watching our content. So something just kind of clicked in my head like the reason why you can't get there is because you're not doing it. As stupid as that sounds, it was like, yeah, I was missing a part of me, and I thought that the breakup was just like so devastating that like I'm never going to be the same again. And then when I really like sat down, I was like, no, this is like what I'm meant to do. Like this is like what I love in life. This is why I am where I am and who I am. And so when I had this thought that just like you just got to get over it, you just got to start it. And then so after that, I just literally, even though I didn't want to, I'll be very honest, I did not want to. I started scheduling. I started coming up with other ideas. I started hitting up other content creators. I started asking for like, hey, is there anything you guys want to pitch? And then something changed in my brain, and I had the itch. I was like, I gotta get back to filming. I got to. And so that's where I am now. And I have like stuff scheduled for this weekend, next weekend. And then I have the big rough cut of Son of Trunks on the 17th. That'll determine this. And I feel better already. So my inspiration is just like how lucky I am to even be able to do this and that people, one, care, and two, that it's a part of my job. So I think sorry, that was a really long-winded answer, but I'll say like the thing that inspires me is that I'm just so grateful for all of this.
Yeah, no, that was really good, man. That was really good. Do you consider both of us get to do this for a living? This is how I think about it every Christmas. Like when I'm giving my kids, their presents and they're stoked. I'm like, I'm happy in the moment, and then I kind of sit back and I'm like, I do this from filmmaking.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's and you do too. Like, what do you think is that would that be a successful filmmaker? You know what I mean? Because I think some people, do you ever get the question like, this grinds my gears? Sometimes people will be like, when are you gonna like really do this? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, like, and I know what they're trying to say. Like
Like
basically
Hollywood.
like Hollywood, and I'm like, the house you're in asking me this question and the gear we're about to use is from my job, and my job is making films. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
am doing this. What do you think? So what's like success to you? And do you ever get that as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for both of us. I think everyone would take us more seriously, not ask those questions if we were working on Hollywood movies and stuff. And if I'm being really honest, I bet we could. But do we want to? Because I got a taste of that right after COVID. And bro, I hated it. I hated it. Sit around and wait. It was horrible. That's when I was like, dude, I'd rather be doing what I love and leading the charge and, not a very professional way. But if I can pay the bills and be happy, then I think that's success. But also there is that kind of driving force of us in us as humans where we want to be like we don't need to explain ourselves. We want people to see us as successful without having to do it.
Hmm.
But you know, I say this to my ex. I used to be paycheck to paycheck, still filming on the side, and there were some days where I would just go to bed hungry because I didn't want to ask for any help, and I was broke, and I wasn't like doing the right thing necessarily while doing what I love. And so now I'm in a situation where I'm not paycheck to paycheck. I moved up to LA, full-time job doing what I love in the industry that I love, and I'd call that success, but I'm never gonna settle. I think that's what makes us successful is that we always want more, not like materialistic things, but we always want to get bigger and better. So like imagine telling ourselves 10 years ago where we are now. They'd be like, you made it. Good. You did it. But then us, who we are as people and creatives, we always want to do more. We always want to get bigger and better. But if Hollywood's the goal, that's not my goal. I don't really want to do that. I'd rather make something of myself in our, you know, pond or lake or whatever, and do really cool things there. And but I'd say like success is always changing, just like we are. And I think if we can do what we can to inspire the younger filmmakers and creatives coming up, I think that's like the ultimate success is, like being that person that they can look up to or want to be like that maybe you and I didn't have when we were growing up. So I think that success is kind of relative and always changing. But I'm so happy with where I am, but I'll never slow down just because I got here. I'll always want to do more and be better and make better stuff and keep trying to better myself and better the quality of the content. But man, if I told younger Colin, he'd be like, "Okay, yeah, hell yeah, you are successful." But well, I'll always push forward for more and try to do my best to be that person that I never had.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm with you, man. I've got to do things, and even like when it comes to the fan films, like I was Joker in the Batman series, and like let's just be honest, in Hollywood that's a 0 out of a million chance, like
Right.
that would never happen. And we get to you got to be Dread, a Red Rain, like you know what I mean? We get to do what we want, and I don't want to be waiting around for hours for 16-hour days in Hollywood filming something I really don't want to be filming,
Agreed.
you
Completely
know?
agree. And that's again, it's the untold stories, like you as Joker and your Batman or whatever else you work on in the future, whatever I'm doing, like it's the stuff that we wish Hollywood would do, and that's
Hmm.
like why fan films, if done, respectfully and right, are so special. And that's like what I really enjoy. And someday, or I mean, we've done it before. We've done original content before, but it'd be really great to have our own thing that maybe someone would want to make a fan film someday of. Like that'd be
Yeah,
really cool.
that'd be really dope. Happier Now. Wasn't that our original?
Happier Now is an original. It was a 48-hour film festival. Oh man, that was a crazy experience. I'll definitely do it again. But wow, yeah, Happier Now was just unlike anything I've ever done before. And it was such a learning experience. And I highly suggest people to go out and do 48 hours.
We did one and it almost killed us, but it was so much fun. I'm always like, I want to do it again. I haven't seen it. Is it somewhere where send it to me when you can? Is it out?
And low key, I hope it's not out. It was rough. Watching it on the big screen with like, 700 seats or whatever. We did the red carpet and I was so excited and I'm signing posters and taking pictures of people. And we go in and watch it. And I was like, that is not what I thought it would be. But you have
Uh,
to like keep your spirits up and be nice because the team was there and someone worked really hard 12 hours straight on editing it. So but yeah, it was rough, dude, because you're watching this like thing that you had envisioned in your mind. Because I wrote it and starred in it, and then I was also like just kind of helping wherever I could on set the day of. And it was like, man, I want to say like a 13, 14 hour shoot nonstop. And I think I'm in like every scene. And it was just, man, I put my heart into it and my dog or my ex-girlfriend's dog was in it. So I see, and I had just gone through the breakup, so I see a big 100-foot dog that I love and miss on the screen, and I was like, and then for me to watch it and it just not be what I was imagining, it's kind of a bummer, dude. And I didn't want to like bum out the team or anything. But rumor has it that our director's going to do a director's cut and clean it up and make it better and stuff. But yeah, it's tough. You know, you're not, I'm so hands-on with all the other projects. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah.
And then to see something that you didn't touch after filming, like you didn't get to review it or watch it or anything, and then seeing it in front of a bunch of people and they make a big deal out of it and it's on the big screen and you're not proud of it, it was a bad feeling. But I will say that I learned a lot and I really want to do it again.
Yeah, and you know what those 48 hour things are for. It's just for us to be creative. They're
Yeah.
just pushing us to like go right now. And but I've definitely, yeah, that's why I do like, I don't want to make it seem like we're people that have to be in charge to enjoy it. But I mean, when you're in charge, you get to control a lot more of it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, dude, I edit videos for the cons like every day, and I don't consider myself an editor, but it was hard watching it where I'm like, why not just go back and raise the audio level on that one line? Why not? And I'm
Uh-huh.
there, I'm like sweating in my seat, and I'm like, why wouldn't you go back? That was like the big like cliffhanger hook line, and you
Uh-huh.
can barely hear it, and I'm trying so hard to like keep my cool, but why wouldn't you go back and just raise the audio just a little bit? It's driving me crazy, man. And so when it's released, I hope it's tweaked and fixed. Otherwise, like, I don't think I'll be repping it. But again, great experience. I was unlike anything I ever did, and it was cool not doing something superhero because I always do something superhero or nerdy. And with this one, it was just like a straightforward romantic thriller, and I've never done anything like that before. So it was cool.
Yeah, that's why I want to see it as well because I saw that. I didn't I was figuring by like kind of just your post and the pictures. I was like this looks totally not superhero-ish. And I remember the first time I did that cuz we kind of had the same start. I was doing nothing but superhero stuff, and I remember the first time I acted in like a drama thing. It was bad, but I was super excited because I was like, "Hey, it's not like superhero-ish."
Yeah.
What so talking about that, what makes it doesn't have to be fan films, but what are the elements of like a good short film or film that you're looking for when you're making something? Probably, I think you mentioned one would probably be how good can you market it, but more into like the film-ish side, what do you look for?
I look for a full circle story. Things where that thing that happened, lots of foreshadowing, that thing that happened in the beginning connects to the thing at the end. Like down to, oh, I don't know, the connection between the main character and the bad guy or the good guy or whatever. I think the things that feel like it all makes sense in this circular motion of storytelling. Because there's a lot of times where you could go off and to the side and tell some other side story, but I like where everything's kind of connected to the main plot. I'm a big fan of like going and collecting things. I always like those kind of stories. So like for Shattered Pass, it's Sam collecting these weapons to bring the fight to Draken. So everything that happens is all just to bring that fight to Draken. And for Son of Trunks, it's all about collecting the Dragon Balls, all about getting stronger, killing the androids, reviving people. Like kind of that full circle where you can dance around in the circle, but no matter what, at the end of the episode, this person is still trying to do that main mission. And I've always been a fan of those. And when it comes to, I don't know, the side characters and the storytelling, I need them to have something interesting too. You can't just like stand there and be like a side character. That's why I try to have everyone kind of have an important thing that they bring to the table, especially when it's not like an ensemble. So I think that's what I try to set apart. But there are like different stories that you don't really need many side characters because people want to see the main character and
Mhm.
grow and interact with all these other ones. So I think that that's like my main focus. And when that clicks, when it's like, oh, wait, I can connect the reason why I said this in the beginning or why this show even exists. That's what makes a good story. And that's what makes people stick around. And then you can dangle that in front of them and go, hey, stick around and you will see this battle, that kind of thing to make sure that you tell the story the way that it was supposed to be told from the very beginning.
What is your most watched thing? Is it
My most
Reverse
watched
Flash?
thing,
Yeah, like what has the most views that you've
Shattered
done?
Past.
Shattered
Shattered
Pass? Oh,
Past.
nice.
God, if you combine the episodes, I think we're up to like 4 million or something.
And you still haven't, you're still writing the last episode, right?
Yeah, I have it written and we like filmed so much of it, but I'm not like I don't know. It doesn't feel right. I don't know how to explain it. When Jason David Frank was still alive, it felt right, and then like it feels so wrong, like to hyper focus on defeating this character that he's a part of. Like even like the times we like are up against Tommy, it doesn't feel right anymore.
Hmm.
And so like I had this tweak in the story where, we're not going to kill him, we're going to try to save him because at the end of 5, Sam's over it. And I always thought it was going to be so cool because, that's like the cliche thing. We're not going to kill him, we're going to save him. And I was like, no, I'm going to kill him. And then, Jason David Frank passes away and I'm like, that's not right. I can't do that. So then in the trailer for the finale, it's future Sam talking to younger Sam, and he's like, "Don't kill." And I kind of put a message in about suicide too. It's like, it's never right taking a life. You always fight to push through. And he's like, "Don't kill Draken, save Draken." And so I have a plan with that, but I don't know, man. It's just I've put so much work into this episode. And it's the final thing I'm going to do with Power Rangers, other than me acting in Bloodline. So I really want it to be special and like really different. And so then a little BTS between you, me, and whoever's watching in Anime Las Vegas in March. We have a bunch of Rangers out there for Ranger Legacy, and they're all down to film. So part of me wants to do something really special with them, and connect it all and make the multiverse of the extended universe even bigger. So I'm kind of just like focusing on Son of Trunks and hoping that something clicks in my mind of how to politely, properly, and respectfully end this thing that's focused around such an iconic character that had such a tragic real life ending.
Yeah. Well, good for you, man, for taking your time. Because I know me, I'm kind of like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then once we start, I'm like, okay, let's finish, let's finish, let's finish. So yeah,
I
take your
was like
time,
that.
man.
No, I was like that because I was juggling Digidestin, Power Rangers, and I think Shaman King all at the same time. And one day I do like 3 different shoots for it. And I was literally just trying to get it out so that I could move on because I don't want to dwell in Power Rangers for too long. Um, and then that happened, and then I was like, okay, I'll come back. And then like not to get into it, but things got a little weird with some of the cast members and the like BTS like crew. And it was kind of just not fun anymore. So I took a break. And then Morphicon happened last year and I got stoked again. Everyone got me so excited. And I got to film with the Thunder Rangers. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then I just went back to Son of Trunks. But yeah, it's tough, man. If it was my way, I would have been done, you know, before the passing of JDF so that my original story could have happened. But, life doesn't work that way. So I'm trying to focus on doing the best I can for Son of Trunks and then with some side projects. And then I think naturally something will happen and click in my brain where I can finish Shattered Pass in a really special way.
Yeah, it will, man. Okay, so you're working on that, and you're working on Dragon Ball Z or the Son of Trunks Dragon Ball. What else are you working on right now?
So I just got a script approved, man, a few days ago. It's called The Last Uchiha. It's a Naruto live action, but it's like way, way, way in the future, aka like our modern times. So there's no like villages or really any magic, and like it's kind of a rumor and like a myth about all these like superpowers and ninjutsu and genjutsu and stuff. Did you ever see Ninja Assassin? That kind of like crazy B movie with crazy martial arts. You ever see that movie?
Um,
It's on
Early
Max.
2000s?
Yeah, it was like God, it's probably like 2010 or so, maybe like that. But it's like Ninja Assassin, and that's like the style I want this to be.
Oh
So
yeah, I
it's like
remember.
it's super gritty, and the idea basically is that we're in like modern times, so 2025, and we are slowly seeing like the rise of these clan members accessing their powers. And it's all like super far distant descendants. And there's like talks about, the Naruto nine-tailed fox and things like that. Like it's Naruto like legends, but like in modern time. And I have some really talented martial artists and like some really cool stuff to get it going. And it's been approved. I have like the logo. We have a filming date, I think next weekend, and yeah, that's. But the idea is basically that I wrote it, I'm acting in it as like a minor character, and then the idea is that this whole team that's not really my production team can go and do it without me in certain ways, filming and editing and stuff like that. But I'll be on set, of course. But so I want that to kind of be like its self-propelling thing that I'm not so involved in, or I'm not the showrunner. And then, man, I'm really working on another found footage idea because we did two found footages that did really well. We did Power Rangers found footage and Ninja Turtles found footage. I'm trying to think of a cool third one. I have some ideas. And then that's basically it for me. Someone on our team, Sean, you met Sean, he filmed Power Rangers with us. He pitched an Attack on Titan short that got approved. And so lots of like moving pieces, but and then we have some music videos that we're filming this coming weekend. It's anime theme songs. And yeah, just lots of moving parts and I'm just trying to, keep the content coming.
Nice, nice. That's exciting. Before we go, man, I just want to say thank you for one, my kids were in your thing. You made them feel like little stars. You guys were all great. And you had like the scripts and the costumes, the dressing room, but then you had like a whole bunch of goodies for them, and you guys were fun on set. And then instantly, I'm just gonna speak for how I felt. You instantly made me feel like a friend. We've always stayed in touch, and I consider you a friend now. And it's just thank you, man. I want to tell
Oh,
you thank you. It was awesome meeting you, and I'm honored to, like I said, I consider you a friend, and yeah, I'm honored. Thank you, man, for always being so kind and cool.
well, let me clarify. You're a friend too. I got your back. You're
I'm waiting
definitely.
for it. Give it to me.
Yes, I was waiting for you to finish. I didn't want to interrupt. You are a homie for life, dude. I got your back, whatever you need. And yeah, that was a fun day, and it made me. Oh man, like I don't know if we really got into it because we were so busy. But when I was first doing Power Rangers First Ninja, and I created Jackson Brooks, and I was like starting the school, right? That's like the storyline. Man, just a lot of haters came out. Just how it is. Just how it is. And then
Hmm.
for me to like I posed and and I remember I was working out really hard and like getting ready to be the Red Ranger again. And I'm with you and the kids with me. And it felt like in my mind as an actor, like like as Jackson, I was like, I did it. I built my school. And it was such a special moment for me to have you there as a sensei and the kids there. And I was like, Jackson, like he did it, dude. He made the school. And it really helped me in my performance where I was confident. I was like, no, stay back. Blah, blah, blah. It was so much fun. And yeah, dude, you're a friend. Your kids are awesome. And I hope we can do more together soon.
Me too. Before we go, I do want to. I didn't think of that, but now that you say that, yeah, man. I don't know if this is the fan film thing, but there's a lot of haters. How do you deal with that?
I reply and I say, thank you for watching. That's what I do. It's it's just the ultimate like, oh dude, like F you. Like I Reverse Flash was my first wake up call to how mean people are. And they were a lot more fearless back then. I think it's a little bit easier now. But man, I had people like episode 1, I'm so proud of this episode of Reverse Flash, and I have people going kill yourself to me in the comments. And I'm like, what? And I used to like argue.
Hmm.
And then something clicked during Power Rangers where I was like, no, dude, I should thank them. And that's like the ultimate like I don't care,
Hmm.
In low key I do care. I want people to like our stuff, but also just thanking them for watching because no matter what, everything they say, everything they do, they still watched some of it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe not all of it, but they still watched. And then that usually just kills it. If I were to argue back and be like, you don't know what I went through. I did this, like that's what they want. So I always go, thank you for watching. And then there's sometimes where white knights show up and they like defend me and defend the project. And I'm kind of like, hell yeah, that's what I want. And then I, as a person, an online personality, if you will, is like I a big thing that I share at least once a year is don't bash what you hate, promote what you love. And I think that is like the way that I can make things a little bit better out there. And maybe people will follow my lead a little bit. Like I don't go if I don't like something, just keep scrolling. Maybe people will follow my lead. I don't know. But it is crazy how hateful people are. And I did a post when I announced Son of Trunks, and it was like it was the Son of Trunks poster, and then it was the Power Rangers Extended Universe with like all the real Rangers, our big giant promo, and it was Reverse Flash Origins, and I was like, I think I said something like, "Man, the announcement of Son of Trunks has been humbling, but I want to let you know that every project that I've ever said I was going to do, people were telling me not to do it. And I'm so glad I didn't listen to them. And this is how I'm going to keep doing it. And it always, if you do what you love with something, about the thing that you love or Like if you really care about that fandom or you really care about the project, everything kind of tends to work out. That was my whole message. And so like, but to just reply thanks for watching, it just is immediate like, okay, I can't really hate on this guy, moving on. And that makes me feel better. And also it, low key helps the organic reach, helps the engagement. It gets the stats up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Definitely, you're so right. At the beginning, I've a lot of people that has asked me that question as well, like how do you deal with criticism? And then they'll tell me their criticism, and I'm like, that wasn't that bad, bro. I was like, back in the day, I got the exact same thing. Like, this is by far the worst thing I've ever seen. You should kill yourself. And I'm like, all that?
Yeah.
All that?
Yeah. And we're just making movies, like it's crazy. I still get some crazy ones of people that like aren't even reading or paying attention. Like the name of the show is Dragon Ball Son of Trunks. And they go, "Why doesn't Trunks have purple hair?" And I go, "I'm not Trunks. I'm the son of Trunks. It's in the name of the show." But I'm not going to go like that in the comments. I just go,
Uh-huh.
"Yeah, this is actually about Vihan, Trunks' son, blah blah blah." But yeah, it's just crazy and like, dude, it's gotten they're just fearless. They don't care what they say or how they make us feel. And I think I'm just more like I have to focus on how many people love what we do.
Yeah, yeah. Last one, brother. This is something I've seen you post this a couple times, and I'm always like, how did that happen? How are you like the model for Halloween costumes?
Yeah. So man, I think it was like 2015 or something. I started working for Ruby's costume company. I did Star Wars product development, but during my interview, I had like footage and pictures of all these costumes that I wore for filmmaking. So I'm showing this guy, my rest in peace, he's passed away. I'm in this job interview. I have my resume, and I was like, "Can I show you something else?" I plug a USB into his computer, and I show him like fight scenes from Young Justice. I show him Crimson Blair. I show him like different costumes that I've kind of put together. And he was like, "Oh, okay. Would you be interested in modeling for us as well as doing product development?" And then I'm known as like standard. I'm 6 foot 190, right? Like it's very like cut and paste for like standard fitting. And I was like, hell yeah, of course. And then in my head, I was like, dude, I could make this into like a video side of this job. Because, video marketing was like just starting to get popular around 2015 or 16. And so I started working there. I wasn't very good at my job. I'll be very honest. I was always dreaming about filmmaking or creating or something. And then they started booking me for modeling. And so I go down to this really nice studio, and there's like buff, beautiful people all around me. And I'm like supposed to be at my desk job. And they're like, "So what agency are you with?" And I'm like, "I'm actually not with an agency. I just work for them." And they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, you could. And I'm like, "Thank you." And they like immediately threw me off to the side because I wasn't a real model. But I was cheap. I was the same daily rate as if I was at the office. Meanwhile, these models are making 10 times as much as me for a few hours. So, anyways, they started booking me more and more and more because I was available, I was cheap, and I worked for the company. And then I must have done hundreds and hundreds of these costumes. But you have to imagine not all of them get picked up, not all of them get into production. Then you also have to imagine they don't get picked up for years later. So I'm still seeing shit that I did like, God, 7 years ago coming out on stores. So, anyways, long story short, it became part of my job to model these characters of these costumes that we were making at my office. And so I just kind of became the go-to guy for it.
What a cool story. What a cool thing to say, like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, my favorite one is Mark Hamill tweeted a picture of me as Luke Skywalker. I was old man Luke Skywalker, and he tweeted to Weird Al Yankovic, and he's like, "That's cool, Weird Al, but this guy came to my door last night, and it was me and my costume." I didn't go to his door; he was just messing around. It was me in this really bad fake beard and fake wig, and I'm like,
Dude, Luke Skywalker knows you, man.
if I ever meet him, I gotta tell him that story for sure.
Yeah, that is so cool. All right, brother, we'll definitely do this again, but we'll end off right here. I'll put your link for your Instagram in the description. Do you want to plug anything or say anything before we go?
Yeah, yeah. I will push our main channel, which is Anime Fire on YouTube. We have Dragon Ball Son of Trunks. We have Digidestin. We have a full recap. You can see Mr. Charlie in Shattered Past. episode 5, and then there's more stuff coming, but I try to stay pretty consistent on my Instagram. Big shout out to I don't know when this is going to come out. Big shout out to all the firefighters and first responders for all the fires in LA. I've been pretty picky about what to post and everything, but sending all the good vibes out, and I hope everyone is safe, and I hope by the time this comes out, it is all contained. But yeah, you can find me at Colin K Bass basically everywhere. And I like to post, throwbacks. I like to post what I'm working on. And also maybe I might inspire you to get out there and be creative. So that's basically the focus right now. You can find episode 1 of Dragon Ball Son of Trunks at sonoftrunks.com. And I hope you like it.
All right, brother, man. I love you, man. Thank you.
Love you, dude. Hope I see you very soon.
I know we do need to get in touch.